Well, we told you last week about a $68,000 state grant awarded to Chelan-Douglas Together For Youth. It's a nonprofit that's setting out to study the need for childcare in the town of Waterville. But Together For Youth has multiple projects going on all the time to keep local kids healthy and thriving. In tonight's features story, Executive Director Pete Tagan says outreach in Wenatchee Valley schools reaches upwards of 1,000 young people each year, giving them tools to deal with mental health, substance abuse, and other challenges.
So we track most of our projects that we help, or programs that we help implement in the schools, and I think last year we had over 1,000 kids participate in one program or another. Most of those programs are implemented through the schools, so it could be a school-based program that we help bring to the school that address mental health or substance use. But I think it was just over 1,000 kids in Chelan and Douglas County.
Can you characterize some of the programs that Together For Youth does bring into schools? I've read about Project Hope, for instance. That might be a good example.
Well, so we helped coordinate implementation of Hope Squad, which is a suicide prevention program that was a partnership with Thriving Together NCW that brought Hope Squad, which is a peer-to-peer suicide prevention program, to I think it was 29 or 30 schools across Chelan-Douglas and Grant and Okanagan County as well. So that's a good example of how we partner with other folks like Thriving Together and schools to address a need that's identified. We've also do a lot of work. I mentioned, working with youth is important, but also important is working with families. So we try to bring family and parenting programs as well. So we've done Parenting with Love and Logic for the last number of years. We offer that in English and Spanish. Most of our programs we offer in English and Spanish to make sure we're reaching as many of the community members as possible. We also are working with WSU Extension right now. They're implementing a Strengthening Families program. Again, it's a program set to really empower families on how to communicate more effectively, set boundaries, work through problems, overall just sort of succeed and work better together. Some of our school-based programs this year, we're working with Lincoln Elementary School to implement Second Step, which is a social emotional learning program, again, to help students understand, about their emotions and it's okay to be mad, but how we handle that anger is important. Or sometimes we feel sad. How do we work through those? So we really try to be flexible in what programs we bring to schools, and that's where we could be of a service. Is that schools, often our teachers, counselors, administrators, classified staff are so busy that anything we can do to help enable them to better connect with young people and address whatever challenges they may be facing, we're really excited to work on.
So Pete, you have been Executive Director at Together For Youth for about 1.5 years, and you came into it from the natural resources and conservation space. So a little bit different maybe from the outside, but can you tell me how your past work might square up with the work you're doing now?
Yeah, so I worked for a regional nonprofit called Sustainable Northwest for a number of years. And I worked in the forestry program. So we partnered with Okanagan Wenatchee National Forest on their Central Washington initiative. And again, that was a huge comprehensive plan to really address the wildfire crisis in our region. But in order for the Forest Service to advance and make that work, feasible on the ground, they had to work with a lot of different partners. And so we really helped with that partner engagement and collaboration. Partners like the Cascadia Conservation District, Chelan County Natural Resources Department, Chumstick Wildfire Stewardship Coalition, the Nature Conservancy, just a plethora of partners. So it was similar in that, it's what is the problem we're trying to address? What stakeholders do we need to bring to the table? to start having conversation, understand how we can, identify strategies and programs to address those problems.
Does the work with youth excite you in the same way? I mean, or is it a different kind of challenge?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I had done a lot of youth development many years ago, and I've always really enjoyed working with young people and helping connect them. It also feels at times, it feels really gratifying. Natural resource and conservation work is super important, but it can be pretty slow moving to get stuff done, and then you have wildfires and you feel like, oh, what is all this for? Whereas working with youth, it's, they always bring energy, and that can be really exciting, and it's really fun to work with, kids and schools and other partners who are working with kids. So yeah, it's exciting. It's definitely energizing and tiring at times.